Okay. So let's forget about this problem. If you wanted the solution, you can ask me later. And this is okay. What? Yeah, I mean, with computer you can solve it easily, but it's a mathematical riddle, so it was supposed to be done without any computer. With computer you can just check all of the combinations. It would be 10 factorial. I think it would be around 10 to power 4, something. I don't know. Okay, let's just. Okay, so here we are competitive programming team of the university, and we are programmers and we do some algorithmic problems and we participate in some competitions that I will explain. So, what is competitive programming? First of all, competitive programming is kind of minor sport. So, like chess or other things, or like Olympiads if you know about it, Olympiads in informatics and Olympiads in mathematics for sure. It's something that you can get some problem solving skill and you can be kind of a smarter and solve harder mathematical problems. And the thing we do is solve problems with algorithmic and mathematical knowledge, so some tricks, I don't know. So you would improve your problem solving skill. And okay, which languages do we use? First of all, there is no specific language that you are forced to use for competitive programming. You can use anything, but generally we usually use C++, or you can use C, because the C++ and C are faster than others. But we also had really famous competitive programmers with Java, or also Python, which is a bit slower. But I mean, you can do it with every language. So recently, Rust was the new language that is really fast, and some people are changing the language to that one. But I mean, the language part is not the important part. The important part is how you would tackle the problems and how would you find the solution, the algorithm behind the solution, I mean. So, as I said, yeah, we are working on problem solving, and we have a good network here in between competitive programmers. So you can find many people that are working in the lead technology companies. So, for example, I'm working Bending Spoons, if you know. And we also have Thomas for Google, right? He got accepted, and Ghassan got accepted for Amazon. So I mean, it's not only us, but it's the same thing in all of the other countries. So if you meet other people that are doing competitive programming, usually you can find really talented people there, and yeah, you can expand your network with good connections. And usually, big companies like Meta, Google, and big companies, I mean, they usually support this kind of stuff. So we had some competitions from them. So Meta Hacker Cup, and we also had Google Code Jam, which this year was not. But I mean, yeah, usually big companies consider this branch as the main branch of their competition. So if they would like to have some competitions, they would choose some kind of algorithmic competitions for their contests. And it's also very useful if you want to be a software engineer soon. So usually people from computer engineering course attend this kind of things. So I suppose that all of you have some interest to be software engineer at the end. And yeah. So this is the old picture of the team. So this is not actually February, but it's last year, 2023. But yeah, we have a team. So every year we participate in some competitions. And because of that, we created this group that we have some lectures, we teach others how to solve the problems. We solve some problems together. We participate in contests together and things like that. And we also have Professor Quer as our professor the team. And we do some trainings and things like that. And I think you already know about our Telegram, Instagram, and other stuff. And okay, the soft skills that you can improve, you can get it from the, I mean, we are participating in contests in teams, and usually the most important one, which is ICPC, is teams of 3 people. So you are also improving your communication, your problem solving, and the most important one, your teamwork, which is really important because in real world, it's not usually like that you are only person that tackling some project. Usually you have some other people, and you should have a good teamwork to develop something. And yeah. So about the competitions. First of all, let me start from the last one, which is the Italian version of ICPC. So this is a contest, programming contest again, for Italian universities. Last year it was more than 250 university team that participated in that. These datas are not updated. I mean, if you see 130, it's because 2 years ago. But last year it was more than 200, and we got the fifth rank. The first team got the fifth rank. I don't know about the others. Do you remember?
Yeah, we got 40.
40, yeah. As you can see, the competitions are really competitive, as it's supposed to be, and it's really intense. It would be 5 hours. You would have around 10 or 12 problems, and you should solve it really fast. So it's not just a matter of solving problems, it's also solving problems really fast and with good solutions. So maybe you have a solution with 400 lines of code, but somebody else can do it with 10 lines of code. Ciao. And okay, so this was the last one. So this is the most important competition in Italy, the national one. And we also have some international competitions, which is ICPC. ICPC is Olympiad in informatics in university level. So university students can participate in Olympiad in informatics somehow, which is ICPC. And it would be, so because all of the universities around the world want to participate in this contest, it would be really huge, so it's not possible. The solution to that was make some regional contests first, and after that, the winners of the regional contests would go to the final contest, which is among all of the world. So first, if you want to be in ICPC finals, you should first participate in regional. Our region is SUERC, Southwestern Europe Regional Contest. Our region is the most competitive one because we have some really good countries, really strong countries here. As you can see, we have France, Spain, Portugal, and Switzerland, Italy, Israel, yeah. And this is really intense competition, and it's again 5 hours, teams of 3 students, 12 problems, and problems start from easy to the hard. Usually there are 2 easy problems, 2 or 3, and the rest are really hard. And you should have prepared something before that to be able to solve them. And after that, if you were lucky enough, you would be in the finals. And the good thing to mention here is that this in 1977. So as you can see, this is very old, and it's not a new thing. It may be new for our university because for some reasons that we don't know, we just started participating in these big competitions. But this is really famous among US universities, other universities, and we already had some famous people from these kind of competitions. So if you look at some CEOs or some really super technical people around the world, you can find, okay, this guy was participating in this kind of contest 50 years ago, something like that. So, yeah, as I said, this is the original one. Last year it was in Sorbonne. Last year, I mean this February, and we went together. and we got the 21st.
21st, yeah.
And also, what was the other one?
Around 60 maybe, no?
60 franc out of 110 teams among all of the countries that I mentioned, which was actually the best result since we created the team. And it's usually around January or February, the contest itself. So you may have to consider that it would be the exam sessions, but it would be a trip of 3 days, maybe 2 or 3 days, and I think usually at the weekend. So I think it would be possible if you were interested enough. You can find a way to participate in that.
It's like in March or April,
Hmm?
depends. Sometimes it's in March or April, depends on the university that
Ah,
hosts.
okay. But I think next year it will be again in February because it's again Sorbonne.
Ah, okay.
And okay, we would have some selections. So we would have some internal selections of teams here in Politecnico, because we are only allowed to send 3 teams of 3 people, so top 9 people to the competition, and there is also an age limit on that. So this year it would be for people that were born after 2001, right?
No, 2001 or later.
2001 or later. I mean, if you are born in 2001, it's okay. You can participate. If you were born in 2000, probably not. And yeah, so we would have an internal selection like last year, and we would select the first. We would select the top 9 strongest people, and after that we would team up them. And yeah. Okay, why you should be interested in this branch? So let's first start about the job that you can get from it. So all of these companies that you can see the pictures of them. I just used some of them. I mean, there are many. All of them, as part of their interviews or their applications, use some competitive programming. I mean, algorithmic questions, and they want you to solve them, and they want you to solve them in good way, and they would estimate your skills based on that. So the first thing that you should consider this thing is because you should improve your problem solving skill. And finally, if you want a good job in a big company, you finally would need to do it. I mean, you can do it right now, or you can do it later. So why not? And yep, so the first thing was that, as you can see, we usually use code forces because it has some better problems. I mean, harder problems, and also with some different tags. But usually companies use lead code, which has some typical and famous questions, famous problems, and companies like Google, I think, directly use lead code, right? I mean,
Yeah, more or less. They try not to copy problems. Like 90% of them are exactly the same of the
Yeah.
difficult ones.
and yeah. And also, so you may be interested in academic path, and you may want to continue with PhD or doing research and things like that. And yeah, that's also a possibility with this, because this knowledge would be used in many things. I mean, we can say that it would be also used in the machine learning branch. So for some recent papers, you can see that, okay, there are some optimizations, or how to make all of these faster. And so this is a thing that if you are interested, you can match it with other things. So with other branches, I don't know. Yeah. And I put it some famous things. I mean, fast Fourier transform, which I think all of you may heard about it, because we also have it in university, but not that advanced. Graphs and general problems, because here there is no limit on the problems that you would see, so it could be anything. So we have graph problems, we have some problems that you should optimize the time complexity with dynamic programming. We have some problems which use really complex mathematical things, and like fast Fourier transform for doing something complex. I mean, multiplication of the two linear thing. I mean, yeah. And yeah. that was this part, and as I think you can start. So
Hi everyone, I'm Gassan. I'm also one of the co-founding members of the CPPolito team. I want to present like some more slides on the team and also more specifically on the type of problems that you could face. Also, next maybe something about selections and like the next activity that we will do to help improve your skills. So I would go like I have a more specific deep dive on these things. So as he mentioned before, the team was founded in 2020, and this is like things that he already said before. Okay, this is important. Okay. So which are the prerequisites? A lot of people, when they start competitive programming, they may be a bit intimidated by the type of knowledge they may be required to have before starting. So they maybe think, okay, I need a lot of knowledge, so I don't start, or it will be a big hassle to start. But this was also my experience. But in practice, all the things that the only thing that you need is some very basic knowledge of a programming language. Like if you did the first year programming course, like here in any other university, you will have more than enough knowledge to start. You just need like knowledge of like very basic knowledge, maybe a little like the basic data structures that you find in any language like Python, C++, like a map, set, queue. Just know how to use them. You don't even need to know how they work. Like I personally don't know how to implement a queue from scratch, so that's not important. What I think is important is that you have motivation to like do competitions and practice and improve. And that's it, because you will see maybe if you start doing problems that most of the time you don't need any knowledge. The problems that you actually require knowledge for are mostly either very advanced or very rare, from my experience at least. Also, as Nima mentioned before, like Python is perfectly fine. A lot of people use Python. C++ is better. There are some few problems where the solutions that may be okay in C++, they will not work in Python because Python is lower. And in most platforms, you have like a time limit, like 2 seconds. But this is also very rare. Like usually, when problem setters create problems, they try to make them such that there is a range of solutions that will work, and also they will work in Python or Java. So Python, if you know Python, is fine. Don't worry about languages or prerequisites. Yeah. So this is also important. Like in general, a lot of people think that competitive programming you will need like you need to be very good at programming or like have strong like knowledge of algorithm data structures. But in reality, your skills is determined by your thinking ability, like your mathematical intuition, your problem solving abilities. Like if you see a problem, can you find properties of it? Can you connect the dots, recognize patterns? Maybe write some examples and see that there is a certain property that works. So it's not like you have knowledge and they just like it's not like when you prepare for exams, for example, it's just about acquiring knowledge, memorizing patterns. That's it. All the problems are kind of the same. Most of the time in programming competition, you will find problems that are completely new or ad hoc. You cannot use knowledge that you already have to solve them, but you need to use your intuition to solve them. So you need to train. It's like you train a muscle, and then you solve problems. So it's more like a sport than an exam. That's what I. It's like you play a new game of chess. You have your background, but every game is different, more or less. So this is an example of a problem. So there are important things about, like this is basically what a problem will look like in a programming competition. So you will have a problem statement, which is all the paragraph before input here. Then you have the input constraint that will tell you, okay, the input will have this form, and then there is the output required to solve the problem. You will be asked to print something, maybe a string, a number, something like that. It will be usually specified, it will be detailed, and you will know what you need to print to solve the problem. For example, in this problem, you have an integer n, and you have to build a string, so you have to print a string. such that it has exactly n special characters. And a character is defined as in the statement as special if it is equal to exactly one of its neighbors. So for example, if you have this example, which is AAA, B, AACC, the special characters in these strings are 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, because they have exactly one equal character. So for example, if you take A here, 1 and 3 are special because they are neighbors to only one other A. So then you have to think about how to construct a string that actually respects this property. And I will not spoil the solution, but maybe you can think about it if you want. In general, it's about finding observation about the problem. Many times you write things on paper, you think, and then you maybe get a solution. Then there is the part about understanding whether something is fast enough, which is very important, because many times you can have a solution that is quadratic or cubic or not even polynomial. So it's important also to understand what is the expected complexity, because as you can see okay, here, you have constraints for t and n. Many times you have problems that have a number of test cases, and each test case has some constraints on the value of n or the values of the array. These constraints are important to understand which complexity it is expected. With a little bit of maybe knowledge also in this case or experience, you will know exactly what is the expected complexity. So it can be of n or n squared, sometimes n log n, square root of n sometimes. Sometimes the problem can be solved even in like a not polynomial way, so some exponential solution may work. So it's something that depends on the problem, and you need to think about the constraints before thinking of a solution. So because the solution may be easier or harder depending on the constraints. So as I said before, like there is the input constraint, description of the output, and also like many times you have, I'd say all of the time you have at least the description, at least you know I have a one test case which will show you for a certain input what is the output for it. And most of the time there is also like a description of the test case that will tell you exactly what is happening and why. Like it will tell you like for this input the answer is this one, for example. So this is not always, but I'd say most of the time you have at least a description of it. But for sure you have a one example test case that will tell you at least input and output what it should be. So you can maybe test it locally. Okay, all of this like a competition, Nima already mentioned them before. I will not go over them again. Okay, so Nima mentioned about like a code forces before lead code.
Maybe you can also show the picture. So that was the actual competition picture. Where was it?
Yeah. So this is like the ICPC, I think final 2023 or 2022.
How many was
It was like in Bangladesh. You can see that usually the ICPC regionals and finals are very big events, and because they have like a lot of funding from sponsors, a lot of like very like rich companies they sponsor them, especially World Finals, like this one, and also this should be mentioned. Participation to these competitions, like for like I'd say almost all universities in the world are funded by universities, also like in this case. For us, participation to ICPC, also like the travel, the accommodation, also I think like meals there, I think also meals are funded.
Yeah.
The fees, everything is funded by university, so you just have, at least you have a free trip to that location. It may be Paris, Porto it was recently. I think more recently it was like last 5 years it was like either Milan or Paris, but it may be somewhere else. Also, this year they added another regional step, like another competition, because usually for our region there was only like the SWERC, which is the Southwestern Europe Regional Contest, where the top 3 teams will go to the finals. And this was in Paris, then the finals maybe in whatever place. Like this year I think he's in Egypt. But this year they added another competition, which is the European Championship, which is like the Euros for football. So basically, the first like 15, 18 teams depends on it because for this competition, like for each European sub-region, they choose 13 different universities. So there is a higher chance for us to go there. And actually, their team was very close to reaching this qualification. So there is the European Championship, which is another competition, which is kind of independent to the World Finals. And this year it was in Prague. It was, actually, it is in these days in March. So and this also will be funded, of course. So if you perform well, there is a chance to go to this European Championship, also to the World Finals. So you get many free trips in these locations, of course. But also, as you mentioned before, a lot of networking opportunities. This is very important.
It's really good in your CV, so you can apply to many good companies.
From my experience, it is extremely important because, from my personal experience, like every like medium big company I apply to, they at least give you an online assessment, which is like a test, which is a competitive programming problem. Like for Optiver, Amazon, Google, J Street, all of these companies. Also, other people had experience with these companies. They will ask at least one test before even talking to them, which is usually a programming test. Then there is like the actual interview when they give you a problem and you need to explain the solution, explain time complexity and everything. So it is, in my opinion, it is a big advantage if you have competitive programming experience. Also, like the networking part is important because if you go to these events, you meet companies. Also, you meet people that work in these companies. They can maybe refer you to these companies. Like if you have connection, it is easier to get like a foot in the door for these interviews because many times they will just reject you without even reading your CV. But if you know someone there, you can ask them to refer you, and it is a big help. So yeah, there is a lot of advantages in doing competitive programming, apart of course from actually liking it and wanting to become very good from personal satisfaction. But there is also advantages. So it's something that has some like real world substantial advantages. Also, like I know that some PhD programs they value it a lot in their admission because maybe the professors that they know it, so they will maybe prefer people that have this experience. I know some universities that actually have professors that want people with this background. Of course, like if you want to do like algorithm research, like theoretical computer science, obviously it's a big advantage. But also in many other areas like machine learning, I've seen a lot of professors that actually prefer people with this background. So not necessarily like engineering, but also like a research, it may be helpful.
Yeah, fun fact, you can see that these are students in teams of 3, and we have some balloons here. Each problem has a color, so for example this, and if you solve the problem, they would give the balloon with that color to you. So you can see, okay, they solved these 2 problems, and probably this one is one of the strongest, solved many problems. Yeah, just fun fact.
Okay. Okay, now I want to talk about code forces because if you do competitive programming, I'd say most of your time will be spent there. Competitive programming, code forces is not only the main platform for competitive programming competitions and problems, it's also like the actual blog system for competitive programming. Like it has been other platforms in the past, like 15 years ago. Now it is code forces. Like all the discussions will be there. Even for other competition, it will be code forces. Also, the code forces has a lot of systems. Like they have the groups, they have contests, they have like of course like a ranking system. They have a lot of stuff. So it is the best platform. It is the most used. It is the most important. Also, like there is a rating system in code forces which generally determines how you're perceived as good in competitive programming. So it's like the same as the ADO rating in chess, if you know it. So you have a rating which is represent your skill level, your current skill level in competitive programming, and generally it's important to establish also your status as a competitive programmer. Because in other sport you can say that maybe you play at this level, you play football at this level, you play basketball at this level. For competitive programming, usually is your rating what determines what level your actual level. And also like there are usually at least one contest a week which is rated. So you would go there, you have 2 hours competition. You try to solve as many problems as you can, as fast as you can. Then you get like a place in the table, and then depending on that, you may improve or decrease your rating depending on your position, which depends also on your rating. So it's like the ELO in chess, more or less. When it comes to the actual our activities, what we do now is we usually always have on Saturday, at least like starting from this semester, we will have meetings where we like discuss problems that we give like as training beforehand. So we have training contests on our Code Forces group. So Code Forces, we have a personal group for the team where we have training contests. So usually you have 1 or 2 weeks to solve certain problems. You will try to solve them. Then we meet here and we discuss them. So someone maybe like that has solved the problem will just explain what their solution is. And also, like if some people have some questions about the solution, they could ask about that. So this is important to improve. I think it's very important to improve your skills because you try something that maybe it is hard for you or easy. But if you can solve something, you can at least ask someone that you know from the team to give you a hint or something. Many times people that start and are on their own, they have to rely on strangers online or maybe editorials like a problem analysis that many times are not very like intuitive. They just give you maybe the proof of the solution, that's it. So having the ability to ask people from the team, also to just see their solution and maybe ask for clarification, it is very important. I think you can grow very quickly if you follow like the trainings especially. So you try problems at home when you have time, then you attend the meetings. It is very important. It will be a very fast way to improve your skills. And our plan, as I said, is to have these meetings weekly or bi-weekly, depending on the availability of university or the rooms or whatever. Also, apart from this, we may have 1 or 2 other lectures, theoretical lectures or presentations like this one. This will depend on also like interest and availability. But like our plan is not to have like 50 lectures where we just present you some boring lectures about algorithms and stuff, because first of all, you will not use those algorithms in problems, because the beginner problems, they do not require any knowledge except from basic programming knowledge, and so you will spend a lot of time learning things that you will not use in problems. So it is important for us that we reduce the number of like lectures to the minimum possible. So this one, maybe another one, we'll see. Maybe another one to have give you some basics, but yeah, I don't want, because it will be boring and not useful for you. So from my experience, it is important that you start solving problems and participate in competitions and attend the meetings, and you should improve and learn everything you need to know. Then when it comes to training contests, we will usually update on the Telegram group, and you will see them always in the Code Forces group. Like all of this link will be like available everywhere. Also, maybe this is a bit early to like explain this, but to improve your skills, you usually what you do is you participate in competitions, so you get experience. Then whenever you do a competition and you cannot solve a problem, you try the problem, you cannot solve it, you try to solve it after the competition, maybe with help of the editorial, which is the problem analysis, or just asking other people. But it's important that you try to do something more, because if you participate in competition, you will know what is your limit, maybe the problems that you cannot solve. So then you can try to do at least one of those problems and improve. Then if you do this and you want to practice more, one thing that you can do is maybe, of course, taking part of a training contest. As for the reason that I said, it is highly advised. Also solving problems on Code Forces, which have a rating slightly higher than yours. If you go to Code Forces, you will see that also problems, they have a rating which is calculated on the expected difficulty of the problem. But this is for now it's not too important. Also, after this, you may be interested in participating in ICPC. the way we'll do ICPC this year is ICPC selection this year is the following. Like 9 people will be preliminarily chosen based on the rating on code forces. So you will, if you want to participate in ICPC, you need to have a rating by the 15th of October, ideally so mid-October. The 9 students that have the highest rating on code forces, they will be preliminarily selected for ICPC. Why am I saying preliminary selected? Because last year, 2024, so this edition, only 6 students were allowed because of the Sorbonne University in Paris only had like limited spots. But like 99% of the time, it is 9 people. But we cannot guarantee that because it depends on the hosting university. And if it will be Sorbonne University also in 2025, it can be 6 students again. So this we'll have to see. But every other year it has been 9. So
Yeah, but it's only this competition. So we are also participating in other competitions like Italian CPC, which
Yeah.
is also really good.
for Italian CPC, anyone can participate. It's not a problem. But that's a remote competition that you just do from home, like Code Forces contest.
This year it will be on site.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, I think
Where?
so.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but yeah, I was talking to a guy.
Okay, that's interesting. But for sure, for like ICPC, there are like limited spots
So
because
for
you actually have to
everyone?
send
Is it
people
open for
there,
everyone?
pay for them, so it is limited.
200 places.
But yeah, if you want to participate, there is a form here. You need to have a Code Forces account. Then you register. Just put your Code Forces username there, and participate in contests to improve your rating. It is important also that you practice, so at least come to the meetings to improve your rating. And the best 9 will be chosen for ICPC. So
No, I didn't have a team.
also I think that the competition is not that high, so a lot of you have the chance to participate, to at least get this experience, to go to ICPC, get a free trip to the location and meet people there, network with companies. So I think it's not difficult to qualify in these universities. A lot of you will have the chance if you're interested. And yeah, also like I already said before, there are some eligibility conditions, but if you are born in 2001 or later, you should be fine for ICPC. Also, like there is this condition about the semester, which is like it is one of both. So, but if you are born in 2001 or later, you can participate in ICPC.
Yeah, but consider that it's only for this competition. So, if you were born before that, you have to do this at some point because you want to apply for some companies or you want to continue in research path. So, eventually you have to do it. So
Yeah.
you can solve problem.
Also, like even if you're like older than this, it's still important, I think, because even people like that are 40, they maybe work in a company, they apply to other companies, they will ask them maybe some system design stuff, but you always ask them lead code questions, so algorithmic problems. Even if you're a 50, 60, 40, maybe you're a software engineer with 10 years of experience, then you apply to Google, they will ask you lead code problems. So no matter what, you need to have some foundation of this stuff. And if you do competitive programming, is a lot better because like if you don't, then you maybe 2 months before the interviews you have to go lead code and practice problems, but it's a very frustrating experience because the problems are not easy on lead code. A lot of people cannot do them. So if you practice before competitive programming, you have experience, you have a massive advantage. From my experience, it is true. Also, like his experience, other people. So yeah, that's it. So thank you for coming here today, and these are all of the contacts, like the website and the Code Forces group. Like all of these links will be on the link tree, also the Telegram group. Like you can find them, I think, anywhere. But we hope that you can maybe be interested in these activities. We will try our best to like help people to improve. Like, for example, he started like 6 months ago. I think we did a good job in like helping him and other people to actually like at least get into it, because the first barrier is very high in competitive programming. Like, it's not like chess or other stuff, or like football or the sports, but physical, but also like math competitions. Competitive programming has a high barrier of entry because it is expected that you know a little bit of programming, like coding, but also you have some logic abilities, and a lot of people they struggle. But like if you're talking about university students that have maybe that are for computer engineering, data science, or mathematics, I think they have a lot of like logical abilities and programming. So for all of you, you have enough knowledge to participate in competitions. And then the rest is about like practicing because, for example, he attended meetings, he practiced, and now he's very good. And also like that's it. I think it's more like how like determined you are to improve, and it's not about having some crazy knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion at least.
Yeah, that was it, I think. And as I said, so just to mention, we have some videos on YouTube already from last year.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to watch some of them, maybe if you already know how to code with some language like Python and you wanted to switch to C++, there is a 1 hour one. There's 1 hour recording in YouTube that you can use, and it would be enough. It would be really enough to get started coding with C++. And I mean, as I said, the language part is not that important, so
Also, like in C++, the knowledge that you need is like very limited.
yeah.
Just like containers, how they work in like the map or set,
Yeah.
for loops, variables, the very basics. So even if you say, okay, I want to learn C++, if you know any other language, it will be very quick because you don't need a lot of advanced stuff that I don't know personally. So
Yeah.
yeah, the language knowledge is very like limited. So
I think at this point we can also finish the recording.
also like if you have some questions, any questions,